done out there. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our cast, our showrunners, our executive producers, and they are going to go left to right or right to left. We'll see what happens.
Hello. Oh, well, now why y'all gonna wait till after I do that? Y'all heard what I said, right? Do I have to thank you? Okay. I'm still Zuri Hall. Do one more time? Oh, they want me to do one more time. Okay, just act like it's the first time. I'll keep it quick. Hello, I am still Zuri Hall. I work at Access Hollywood, and I'm also one of the co-hosts of American Ninja Warrior. I'm very excited to be sitting here tonight to moderate this discussion, particularly because of the work that Access Hollywood and I do with Black and Missing Foundation, which is highlighting the cases of missing Black and brown people. We know that our cases go underreported much more than our white counterparts, and so it is very important work, and this incredible scripted version of that world is something that I've really enjoyed watching, and I'm sure all of you have as well. So without further ado, I am going to introduce our creator, EPs, and cast. So first up, coming to the stage, please give a very warm welcome for executive producer Greg Berlanti. Co-showrunner and executive producer Sonay Hoffman. Actor Mark Paul Gosselaar. Actor and producer Shanola Hampton. There she is. And the creator and showrunner of Found, Nkechi Okoro Carroll. Welcome, welcome, welcome. One more round of applause, please, for this incredible team. Things off with you. Found as a premise, the way that you formatted this show, the storytelling, absolutely impeccable. When did this first come to you as an idea, and walk us through the processes of realizing that?
Well, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We're gonna try this again.
There we go.
Hello, there we go. Guys, I can create a show, but technology as a whole, it's a whole other thing. So yeah, you know what? It was about 2014, 2015. It was around the time that on social media, the Black community was talking about a group of 14 Black and brown missing girls in the DC area, and no one else was talking about it. It wasn't on mainstream media. It wasn't. It was going viral through our community, basically. And I got very frustrated because I couldn't understand how young girls who looked like me, their lives could be so devalued that no one cared that many of them had gone missing at one time. And so I started to do some research and dig, and you know, much to my mother's sadness, I did not become the doctor she wanted me to, but I promised her I would make a difference in the world in a different way.
And that you are.
And the way I do it is with my keyboard. And so I started doing a lot of research because I wanted to figure out how this could be happening, that it couldn't just be systemic racism, it couldn't just be sort of funding issues, there had to be other things at the heart of it. And so in doing that research is how I came along the role that public relations plays in it, the role that the media plays in it, and it was how I started to come up with the character of Gabi Mosely, played by the incomparable Shanola Hampton. And so, yeah, I was like, okay, well, we have a show here and we have a dynamic character here, and there might be a way for us to sort of educate the world on what is happening and encourage other people to sort of play a role in making a difference while also entertaining them. And so, yeah, not unlike when I try to get my kids to eat vegetables and I bury it in the quiche and then I put it in a cookie crust and I tell them it's pie. I was like, how am I gonna make people think Found is pie? And that's where...
I love that your children eat quiche, so sophisticated.
They eat pie.
Oh, okay, there we go. I was like, I've seen that goes.
My poor 17-year-old is running around telling people it's pie. He's gonna have a rude awakening in college. But I wanted something to make Found feel like pie for our audience, and that is where sort of the thriller, serialized storyline came from, and you know, and the idea that none of us are perfect. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a man in my basement. However,
I wasn't gonna ask.
had other flaws. You know, Gabi's are just more extreme than mine, that's all.
And that's a perfect segue into this incredible and complex character, Gabi. You know, she pursues justice via more traditional structural methods, right? She has her crisis management team. And then there's also the vigilante angle, right? We've got Sir held hostage in a basement. So talk to me a little bit about fleshing her out as a character. Why was it important to add those sort of complexities? And where do you hope to see her go? Where do you plan for her to go as this season moves on?
Well, here's the thing. As a Black woman, we all know the stereotype, right? As the strong Black woman, there's a certain type of version of us that we often see on TV that is almost superwoman to a fault, right? And I'm guilty of it in my life, of suffering from superwoman syndrome. Just ask my husband. I struggle to ask for help, but I'm working on it. And so for me, it was important to put a character on TV that was us. She is brilliant and she is smart and she is a force of nature, but she's also flawed, and she also, you know, has this trauma that we thought she'd worked on and healed, but she actually hasn't. And so it manifests as these sort of little landmines that go off in her when things are triggered, most of the time before she's even aware. And that's all of us. And so I wanted to put a heroine on TV, because she's still a hero to me, who's still struggling, who's still trying to heal, who's still working through her stuff. But you know, she's also saving lives while she's doing it, and you know, teaches her a lesson.
We love to see it. Not Mark Paul with the side eye. On that note, Shanola and Mark Paul, I'd love if you can both chime in, but to kick things off with you, Nkechi, why were they perfect for these roles, and what has it been like watching them breathe life into your characters?
Please tell us why Mark Paul was perfect.
Did you just see Sir?
Y'all are about to hear from these two, and you'll get it. You'll get it. You know, it's such a chore working with them. They're not talented. They're not beautiful. They're not all these things. I mean, it's Mark Paul, Gosselaar, and Shanola Hampton. I mean, just incredible.
I like
talents.
that order. that is a great order. Thank you.
We do this for Mark Paul. But,
I don't care who you do. I wasn't gonna.
But here's the thing: you have your wish lists of people you want, right? And you put your A list together, and then you throw it away, and you have your realistic list. And so I was just incredibly blessed. I mean, Greg and I, from the very start, to actually have people who were on our A list be interested. And so I had met with Shanola. Shanola is also a brilliant director. And I was actually meeting with her about a directing opportunity. And poor Shanola, because she is doing her thing, and I mean, she's just, she's amazing, and I'm just staring at her on this Zoom. And she must have been like, what is wrong with that woman? Like, she's not reacting. But what I was doing was texting Greg and my other producers under the desk, like, I think I found our Gabi. I think I found our Gabi. And so, yeah, after that meet, it was at the end of the meeting, and I was like, I'm so sorry, can we send you a script? And she was like, sure. And I was like, it's this thing I'm doing with them, just read it, we could talk. And I kept it very vague, and I sent her the script, and then I called Greg and Sarah, my other producers, and I was like, I'm telling you, she is our Gabi. And she really was. And then Mark Paul was on the list. He was on that A list that we were throwing out about being realistic. And then his agent called and was like, he'd like to talk to you about the part. And I was like, who? I talked to me. Oh, okay. Okay. And we did. We sat down. We had a great chat. He, I don't like to say this publicly. He's a great human being.
It's on the record now.
It's on the record, darn it. But it was one of those that we just started talking and just connected over the material. He'd already done so much research. And, you know, everyone kept bringing up the line, he's handsome. It's like, okay, well, you know, Sir is very...
Who brought that up?
I know. It was very... I disagreed. I know. And I had to remind people Ted Bundy was gorgeous. He was charming, and it's how he was able to get women to help him with his bike, and then they ended up in his trunk. So it made Mark Paul perfect for Sir, and then it's been honestly a blessing to have them both play these characters on the show.
Shanola, stepping into Gabi's shoes. I mean, she is charismatic, she's determined, she has so many layers. What most intrigued you about this woman when you first read the script, and what have you loved most about portraying her?
I think NK said it best. I love playing characters that are flawed because you're always, I think playing a character that makes people question, but wait, I love her, but she got a man in the basement. But she can run in heels, but she got a man in the basement. And then I had someone say to me today, why are you so mean to the man in the basement? And that's why I love Gabi Mosely and why I love this show is because it has everybody so torn on whose side they're on, if they're on a side, what moral ground they stand on, and any project that does that, and then also sheds light to something that is so important to shed light on, is a show that I am so blessed to be a part of. It's literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I knew that when I read the script, and I was like, oh, she bad. She got a man in the basement. And I emailed NK, and I said, girl, she got a man in the basement. I must play this part. And that's really what it was.
And that was that.
In all caps.
It's true.
Mark Paul. You still with
And
us?
I'm still like, a man in a basement. It's like, is that a thing you'd always wanted?
Enthusiasm.
I got a man in the
I got a
basement.
man in the
I
basement.
finally got him.
Mark Paul, what did you most enjoy about getting to go toe to toe with this incredible actress right here?
Toe to toe. Toe to toe. Come on now. Yeah, I mean, working with Shanola, I mean, if you weren't here, I would say you were a force. Walking on set and seeing her and her energy and her, stop looking at me. I can't talk about you. I can't talk about you.
Tear up as you talk
I
about
won't.
it.
I won't.
Go ahead, tear up.
That happens in episode 10. Episode 10. No, you know, I've Shanola, you can pile on this one. I've had a long career so far, and
Y'all remember the blonde tips? I
on this network, by the way. So thank you.
Shout out to NBC.
Yeah. Back home.
Yeah, you are.
But having the career I've had, I'm always looking for something, that next challenge, the next step, something that'll that you want to have legs. I never do anything that I say like, oh, this will just go a season. I want this to go for a while. I want this to be a journey, not only for the audience but for us. And then speaking with NK first, I actually didn't know that Shanola. I didn't know that she was attached when we spoke. I was more concerned about some of the things that we talked about. It wasn't about you. But when I found out it was Shanola, and I did my sort of research on her and everybody that had worked with you, and I knew it was going to be a project that I wanted to be a part of. The stories were also something that really impacted me and made me want to be a part of this project. I think it's important what we're saying every week, and like NK said, it's pie. In a way, and that's very smart television, and it's very smart storytelling. And to work with NK and Sonay and Greg, and to have that team, to have that pedigree behind you as an actor, you get a chance to feel comfortable in your environment, and then you can just be creative and just worry about what you do, and not have to worry about sort of what's happening on the wings.
Absolutely.
And as an actor, you feel safe in that environment, and then you can just fly.
Okay. Sonay, Greg, Mark Paul brought up the stories, right? Talk to me a little bit about the intention with which you approached how you highlighted various stories, various cases, each episode. How much did you draw from real life, if at all? In what ways were you intentional about maybe steering clear of real life cases, if that was the MO? How did you approach that?
I mean, it was interesting because I think it was probably the first or second day of the writer's room. And when most of us know that when you start a writer's room, you have to, you gotta, find your groove. A lot of you're meeting for the first time and it's like, okay, go, and usually it takes a good few weeks, if you're lucky, to connect. And I wanna say that the first or second day of the writer's room, one of our brilliant young writers, Zoe Marshall, shared something deeply personal. And then Cameron chimed in with something, and then another writer, and then another writer. And I remember feeling in that moment so grateful. And I remember just kind of saying a silent prayer to please let me be the person that they need me to be. Please let them feel protected and safe, because I understood that I was lucky to be in a room with writers that were so brave and so sensitive. And even though we were doing research on the storylines, I found that what we eventually did was every single writer, their episode is personal to them, whether it's them or a family member or someone they knew. For my episode, it was two people. My first episode, it was two people that I observed that really touched me. I found that for this season, and maybe next season it'll be different, but we found that the writers, everyone, every episode is personal, and that is what we pulled from, and that's what we used for the first season. And I felt really lucky that they gave so much.
Incredible. It is easy to fall into the tropes of trauma. How do you avoid that when you navigated these storylines? Whoever wants to chime in.
Well, I'm like, okay, I need help.
Mics are hard.
Well, my official job title, I think, in maybe remaining in the business, is just to be NK's biggest fan.
It's easy to do, if we're being honest.
And how that circles back to an answer about your question. So a few years ago, we were working on a TV show called All American, and NK was running it for us, and we became very close. And my favorite question to ask showrunners that I think are very rare, like she is, incredibly rare, is what's the show that's not on the air that could only come from you that you really want to tell? And she pitched this show out, I mean, almost exactly as, if you guys enjoyed the pilot, which I hope you have, almost exactly as it appeared on screen. It sort of really just came through her. And it's a really trying business. And so when you hear something that pure and that clear, and someone really has a reason to say it, and then has the tools and the capacities which she has to create an environment where everyone else gets to do that too. And I think it's incredibly, it's even more and more rare, it's even more and more unique, and she does it on all the shows that we work on, but she especially gets to do it now on this show. And it both makes to her point about pie, it makes the show enjoyable and fun, but it also is doing, performing an amazing service for people. Yeah. And that where there was a real void, and I think it's a big part of why we all participate in this medium. And so NK, I think, to answer your question, I think it's that where she goes, she seeks people's passion, and then connects with it, and then figures out a way to sort of like lightning rod it and put it into an episode. And so I think that you feel that in these episodes.
Absolutely. Nk. Can I call you Nk?
Yes,
I just wanted to try to cool kids.
Yes. Girl, we're in the Joint Pantsuit Club. Family now. Yes.
Look, I just want to brag on you for a few seconds here. I just got to let everybody know. You have now joined the ranks with the premiere of Found. You and Shonda Rhimes are the only Black women who currently have 3 network dramas on air last season. Found, All American, All All-American Homecoming. I literally just got a full body chill saying that out loud. What does it mean to you to sit in the reality of what you have created for yourself and for us?
Ooh, okay. Between Greg and you, I can't. Yeah. My mascara is not that good.
You look great.
It means everything. I love television. I love television. I grew up loving TV, and you know, I probably watched way too much of it, far more than I let my kids watch. Sorry, Mom. But it's always been such a powerful thing to me. I grew up on 3 different continents, but the way I kept anchored to the US was through the show. So whether I was in Cote d'Ivoire, I was in England, like, I'm about to age myself, VHS tapes. Whenever we come back to the States, we'd record everything and then just watch it over and over again when we went back home. And so TV has always been such an important part of my life. And so the fact that I even get to do this for a living is such an incredible blessing. The fact that I have anything on the air is such an incredible blessing. And I know Greg is trying to make it all about me, but I just have to say for a second, I don't know a single person who has fought for and supported my career more than Greg Berlanti. And quite frankly, before I ever met him, and this really could have gone a complete different stalking psycho way, I was 21 years old working at the Federal Reserve, and I had Greg on my vision board because I was obsessed with Dawson's Creek. Truly.
You're manifest.
I love that. Dead serious. I'm sitting there doing trades in the morning and in my cube, and there's my little vision board, and there's Greg's face. It's not weird at all, Greg. Not weird at all.
You will not end up in her basement. Don't worry.
Exactly. You're good. We're fine. No trauma. But because he was so gifted and at such a young age, and it was how I learned what a showrunner was, and I was like, that's whatever he did, that's what I want to do in TV. The way he sort of took these characters that I already loved and made me love them more, and love triangles I didn't know I wanted. I was like, I was throwing my shoe at the TV during Dawson's Creek, and I was like, I want to create TV that makes people throw their shoes the way Greg made me throw mine. And fast forward to getting into the industry and sort of, you know, battling my way through, and I landed a deal at Warner Brothers, and my first request, I want to meet Greg Berlanti. And they were like, that's so cute. Okay, so, they were like, that's so sweet. He's not doing that. So we're gonna have you meet over here. And I've been in the industry for a few years, and it was sort of the year that I was finally owning my power of, this is where I'm meant to be. And I love what I do with such a passion, and it's okay to ask for what you want. And so I took a deep breath, and I was like, yeah, I don't sign unless I meet with Greg.
Okay, yes.
And they wanted me to meet on All American. They shot the pilot, and I met with the showrunner, and I was like, not Greg. I need to meet Greg. And so finally they called back the next day, and they were like, so Greg will meet you. And I ran around my house like a crazy person. I was like, deep breaths. My husband's like, do not go in there crazy. I was like, I won't. I promise I won't. I'll be totally normal when I meet him, but this is like a moment in the making since I was 21. And I walked up to the door, and his poor assistant, because I stopped right outside the door and I said a prayer. And I did the sign of the cross and everything, and his sister was like, are you praying? I'm like, mind your business. This is between
I'm talking to God.
I'm like, this is between me, God, and Greg, okay? Just don't worry about it. And walked in and truly met someone who not just lived up to everything I hoped he'd be, but far exceeded it. And that day changed my life. And so to have a passion for the stories I want to tell, and I'm not saying, because Greg is always like, no, you did this, and yes, I did. But I think it happened a lot faster, and quite frankly, you empowered me in a way that allowed me to demand that the stories I wanted to tell sort of make it onto the air. And so I just want to very publicly, because we rarely get to sit on the same panel, even though they separated us by a mile. I just want to publicly say thank you.
Thank you.
to you for all of it.
You did do this. You did do this.
Well, my heart is breaking because I just got was that the 60-second mark? Y'all, we gotta go. I had 1,000 more questions. We could certainly keep this conversation going for much longer, but thank you all for what you have shared. I just want to throw out one very open-ended question to anyone who'd like to chime in. You know, obviously this is a scripted portrayal of very serious real life issues. What, if any, hope do you have when it comes to how this show might help move the needle or at the very least spark conversations in real life?
Well, I think that just bringing the awareness, I think it already has started to move the needle. We had 20 million viewers that have already seen Found, and the pilot, and the conversations that I'm hearing from people that I would have never thought are getting it, they're getting it, and wanting to know what they can do. So I think that what we wanted to happen is happening in a very real, humbling way. But thanks to NK and that vision and putting it out there, I am so happy that the needle is being moved. I really, really am.
Absolutely. Go ahead. You want to say something?
No, I'm just going back to the basement.
I just wanted to just kind of echo what Shanola said, because when and I know we have to go, but when I met with NK, she is a creator, she is a visionary. She is a visionary. When we met, she has stories and arcs for years and years and years. Years. She has such a clear vision for this show that she created, and she set everyone up to succeed. The actors, the writers, the producers, like this is, and NK said, this is what I want to achieve. This is the message I want to send. This is how I want to change the world. And she's doing it. And that's what happens when you have a clear vision and someone who is living their purpose and giving to others the way NK gives to others every single day. I'm sure she even knows how the series is going to end. How's it going to end?
Care to share?
I want to
NBC's in here right, it's 25 years from now, but I do know. But we got a long road there.
Any last words, Greg? No?
Just thank you all.
Yeah.
Keep supporting it. Everything needs so much support. We're so grateful you're here. And keep please telling people about the show. It's been, I can usually tell by now, like, I've been doing it long enough too, that like when anecdotally people start coming up to you about a show and this has that thing and that feels so special that it has that thing, given all the auspices involved with it. But it needs even more love and more help, I think. So please.
And that's what we're gonna do, right? Absolutely. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Again, my name is Zuri Hall. Congratulations. I am absolutely enjoying this series. NK, you are a star. You are a star. Everyone on this panel is a star. Congratulations to you two for starring. And let's hear it one more time for the incredible team behind Found.